One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a liftoff.
What's up, Doom Nation, and welcome back. You are listening to the Two Doom Men podcast. As always, it's Scagz and the Captain. And what do we got going on this week, pal? I know I missed out on last week. Life found a way, but
well, that's the way it goes, bro. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody. If we missed you last week.
Hope you had a good weekend.
Yeah, it was fun. Me and Captain had a good time. Yeah. So we got a couple interesting topics to talk about today. Ireland is on fire over the course of the weekend. A couple riots there. Captain wanted to talk about Mayor Eric Adams of New York City. He is in trouble. Some sexual assault allegations coming out against him. I think that's an interesting one to dive into. And then we just kind of want to plug again coming up this Saturday at 2 o'clock. We're going to be hosting the Libertarian Party presidential debate. We're going to be at the Libertarian Party of Connecticut's convention. That is at the Cromwell Marriott in Cromwell, Connecticut. You could get tickets if you want to come in person. You could just go to lpct.org. It's going to be dope. I'm super excited. Larry Sharp is going to be moderating. It's going to be on our channel. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe. You could push notify on there if you want to be notified at the time of. We'll be putting this up on the other channels also, probably on Monday. But if you want to watch it live, Saturday, 2 o'clock, should be a good time. I know I'm excited.
Yes, we are very excited. It's going to be a fun time. Looking forward to getting back to that convention. It was a good time last year, and this time we're doing even more with them.
Yeah, there's some other stuff we'll probably be doing there. Hopefully to be trying to do like a full episode as well, see what other guests we could get on. I'm probably going to be recording the speaker event. You got Maj Touré, Clint Russell, Josie the Redheaded Libertarian, Feng Shou Zhou, I can't say his name.
Mr. Joe.
Yeah, so they're all going to kind of be giving some speeches. Going to have all the cameras and stuff, so I'm going to be recording that, and I'll be putting that out throughout the week. And really interesting stuff, so really excited. Don't forget to tune into that one. And let's get into it, Captain. I know you were out for a week, and you were really interested in talking about what's going on in Ireland. So I'll let you open this one up. I got an
sucks.
article.
I mean, I wanted to talk about, the new Libertarian president in Argentina and plenty of shit, but
we could talk about him next week too. This weekend at the convention. I'm sure he's going to be a main topic there for everybody. So that'll be interesting.
Over the weekend, well, I don't.
Do you want me to set the stage?
When the stabbing.
Want me to set the stage? Let's set the stage with a couple things here, folks. So first of all, if you didn't know, in Dublin, Ireland, capital of Ireland, there was rioting over the weekend. And I want to start with this tweet before we get into the news article, kind of setting the stage, just because this tweet just kind of...
I already know the tweet, yep.
Yeah. This tweet kind of embodies just what's wrong in society right now and, why there's this underlying anger being felt around the world, no matter what side you're on of the political spectrum. This is a tweet by the Washington Post. It says, online rumors claimed the perpetrator of a stabbing attack was an immigrant. The BBC found that the man was an Irish citizen who had lived in the country for 20 years. Police blamed lunatic faction driven by a far-right ideology for the riot in Dublin. So I just want to scroll down to the notable part. Down at the bottom, there is a community note that says, the man is indeed an immigrant, as he was originally from Algeria. The Washington Post segment appears to conflate citizenship with not being an immigrant, and you can be both. This reminds me of Michael Malice's quote, the corporate press is factual but not truthful. Like they'll give you the facts, but they're not truthful about them, right?
Mhm.
So, like, yeah, the guy's kind of been there for a while, but he's still an immigrant. There was another article of this. I think they've scrubbed it now and changed it. But the original attack this guy did was on a couple children and adults.
Yeah.
And
So it was 3 children and
yeah.
2 adults, but everywhere was 5 people. They
5
don't want to say
people.
children. 5
Yeah.
people. Yeah. We can't say children. Yeah.
So
We could post every dead child on the Gaza Strip, but if an immigrant takes out a child, they're people.
yeah, I mean that's being factual but not truthful, right?
Yeah.
Like they're not giving you the full picture because anybody is going to agree. We've talked about this before. Crimes against children are the most heinous type, so those are going to piss people off the most. The news article I got that will kind of set the stage here. I mean, Conor McGregor is involved. I mean, this is juicy.
This is where. So a little context where this is what got me involved in it. So there was this stabbing excuse me, I'm drinking seltzer, so this is gonna be fun. There was this stabbing, an immigrant stabbed some children and some adults, and the good people of Dublin started to get a little crazy about it because they are not wildly in favor of their immigration laws that are taking place over there, and they're watching their culture get destroyed, and they're not too happy about it. And the government came out and doubled down and said, well, we have the backs of immigrants, fuck our own people, to the point that Conor McGregor came out and said something, and I was like, man, this guy sounds like he's going to run for president. I don't know if you have any of his tweets from the stabbing, but that's what got me interested, because all of a sudden then now he's like immediately was under investigation, and Ireland and Dublin is like getting rid of free speech.
Yeah, well, let's keep in mind here, folks, this isn't America, right? I mean, we have our own problems here to begin with the regime and them trying to clamp down on free speech, but this isn't America. It's a different country, so the rules are always, of course, a little bit different. But I would say that Ireland is in the fashion of Western liberalized democracy. They're supposed to cherish freedom of speech, right? But we'll get into that a little bit later. But let's kind of set the stage here a little bit. So Irish police investigating former UFC fighter Conor McGregor's tweets about Dublin riots. I mean, this is something that like Joe Biden and the regime are getting a hard on for. Investigating tweets of like a dissident. Oh, yeah. They're getting poked up in the pants right now.
Yeah, question for you. I heard that also he's being investigated here in America.
I don't know about that. I mean, that might be unrelated. I haven't heard anything about that. Former UFC fighter Conor McGregor is reportedly under investigation for a series of tweets addressing last week's riots in Dublin, sparked by the stabbing of 5 people, including 3 children. This is from Fox News, by the way. The riots exploded after rumors circulated online that the man responsible for the attack outside of a Dublin school was a foreign national. Authorities have not disclosed the suspect's nationality. McGregor did not condone the rioters, but took aim at Ireland's leadership and its immigration policy, saying a change was necessary. They're investigating him. I'm just going to stop real quick. They're investigating him for tweets. He didn't condone the riots. He just, like any other person in a liberalized Western democracy, has a fucking God-given right to criticize their government and say, I want to change, right? Isn't that the point of democracy, as you guys sell it all the time? Change. You could vote for a change. Now, just keep that in mind here as we continue. Innocent children ruthlessly stabbed by a mentally deranged non-national in Dublin, Ireland today, McGregor tweeted in response to a video of Irish Garda Commissioner Drew Harris condemning the violence as disgraceful and pushed by a hooligan faction driven by far-right ideology. I guess it's worth noting Garda is like their police in Ireland.
And if anybody who's been tracking this story, they are heavy on everything being far right. Like, it's a scary term. The far right boogeyman is coming to get you. Yeah, he's complaining that children were stabbed and he's the bad guy.
Yeah, I mean, in all the response here by the officials, the government in Ireland, has really been just complete, at least from what I've seen. They're more concerned about the backlash than they are about the crime itself. Like, they're just so out of touch with what...
Dude, they're more concerned. They have, as far as I'm concerned, the people of Dublin have no government, or the people of Ireland have no government, because there's no one representing
No
them right now.
representative government.
Their government is representing immigrants, to the point that they are willing to change the law. And we're going to get into this with another clip, to the point that if you are found with hateful content on your phone that might make the victim feel uncomfortable in any way, you are breaking the law now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So police could just take your phone, and they found a meme of, Israel that they don't agree with. Go to jail. Go to jail.
What does that even mean, too? Like, you have things that are hateful on your phone. I mean, like, if you have Twitter on your phone, you have the encyclopedia of hateful messages of all time on there, right? Like, does that qualify? Like, even if you didn't do it, does that qualify? Like, what do they even, like, you see how this could spiral out of control?
Exactly.
Right away?
It's whatever the government deems disinformation or hate speech. And the scary thing is, too, if you think of it, you could say something, and then you could get some truly racist individual replies something to your original tweet, and then now they take it to the court and they go, look, here's this other man saying hateful things. He's inciting hate online.
You're communicating
He's inciting
with
violence.
People.
Yes. Yeah. So not only can you get in trouble for what you're talking about, but people could respond, and you could further get in more trouble. Yeah.
It's really dystopian. It's really George Orwell's
and this
1984. Ironically, it's in that that neighborhood. That's where the story takes place, in England and whatnot. So,
and it's videos, pictures. I mean, we're winning the culture war around the globe if, like, the government is finally, like, outlawing memes.
Yeah, they're getting desperate, right? We've talked about this before. They're being pushed to the brink. They're going to have to legislate, culture as hard as they possibly can now. You're seeing a couple black eyes around the world. We just talked about Javier Milei last week. That's a black eye. God forbid Donald Trump becomes president here again. That was a black eye the first time. The Brexit back in the day was a black eye. Like, it's the dying throes of an empire. They're gonna start lashing out, trying to do anything they could do. Let's keep going here a little bit just to hear the rest of Conor McGregor's story. So the next tweet, he said, "Drew, not good enough. There is grave danger among us in Ireland that should never be here in the first place, and there has been zero action done to support the public in any way, shape, or form. This frightening fact," McGregor tweeted. "Not good enough. Make change or make way. Ireland for the victory. God bless those attacked today, we pray." Police have arrested nearly 36 people after Thursday night's rioting, when up to 500 people looted shops, set fire to vehicles, and threw rocks at crowd control officers equipped with helmets and shields. So let's get this out of the way. I do not condone violence or property violence in any way whatsoever. That's not the point of what me and Captain are going to get to here. On your, we didn't do that when Black Lives Matter did it. Not going to do it here, in this scenario, just because perhaps the sentiment is something we agree with more or something like that. I think it's stupid and again, like, it's hard to parcel out exactly what's even going on in a riot. Like, there's just so many people. And who knows who did what. It goes for both. Like, when you look back at even the BLM riots in 2020, I mean, like, there was videos of, like, those dudes with, like, black like helmets on and batons who were just, like, walking around breaking windows. Obviously January 6th, we covered this at length. Like, how many of them are, like, actually agent provocateurs?
Provocateurs, and how many people are just seizing the opportunity? So I don't think burning down private property solves anything. It actually usually ends up galvanizing people against you. Which is now what I'm not going to get into that this riot was a conspiracy. I really don't believe it was, but I think just because there was so many people who took the opportunity to loot in those riots, now the media, now the government has more fuel, more ammo to say, oh, look, far right, they're anti-immigrants. We need to stop this. Look, they burnt down a building. Now they got some grounds to sit, to really do damage.
Yeah. In response to a tweet from Paul Golding, the leader of the far-right group Britain First, McGregor said he did not condone Thursday night's violence, which ultimately fixed nothing but understood the frustrations. I do not condone last night's riots. I do not condone any attacks on our first responders in their line of duty. I do not condone looting and the damaging of shops. Last night's scenes achieved nothing towards fixing the issues we faced. I do understand the frustrations, however, and sorry, you got to do show more here to see the rest. And I do understand a move must be made to ensure the change we need is ushered in. And fast. I'm in the process of arranging, believe me. I am way more tactical and I have backing. There will be change in Ireland, mark my words, the change needed in the last month. Innocent children stabbed, leaving school, Aisling Murphy murdered, 2 Sligo men decapitated. This is not Ireland's future. If they do not act soon with their plan of action to ensure Ireland's safety, I will.
This was the tweet I was talking about. I was like, this guy's going to run for president.
It sounds like either that or he's like, I don't know what could he else could he be
setting up
to?
the IRA? They're gonna fucking clean house. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe like a political action committee or something like that. He'll get behind. He's got a lot of money. He could fund politicians. Who knows? Or maybe he will be. And he's running for office there to some extent.
Well, I mean, Manny Pacquiao did it in the Philippines, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, dude. One thing I'm learning lately. There's like, the end of Game of Thrones was awful, but there's like that last episode. There's that scene where they're deciding like who's going to be the king. And Tyrion has a great line where he's like, what do people resonate the most with? A story. And then, like, that's why we have to elect Bran the Broken. And, like, that was the dumbest thing ever because there was way more people who had better stories. But that is so true. People resonate more with a story than they do good policy, right? One of the reasons why in the last episode I was talking about Javier Milei. Damn it, on top of the fact that he's making good points and he's saying everything libertarian. He's got a good story on top of that. He's like a rock star, the crazy hair, like, he's charismatic. Like, you need all of
I
those.
wanted to talk about the video of how he went and he was like, oh, departments of parks, gone.
Yeah, afuera.
Gone.
Right, yeah. So you need a story like that because that resonates with people. And Conor McGregor, damn it, he does have the story if he wants to step in. He's a hero to the Irish people in mixed martial arts, and he kind of embodies like that tough guy culture, no nonsense, and
toxic masculinity.
Yeah, to an extent, man, he's like he's like the World Economic Forum.
I would just love to see him. I would just love to see him on the Senate floor acting like it's an MMA interview, and then somebody's like, Mr. McGregor, you cannot speak like that. Who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah. So, look, McGregor's posts are being assessed as part of a Garda investigation into the dissemination of online hate speech, according to a report from The Times. McGregor also, he preys on Caio Benicio, a Brazilian delivery driver who intervened in the knife attack. Former UFC fighter. I mean, like, dude, Ireland must be just littered with UFC guys. This guy who intervenes also a UFC
All
fighter.
they do is fight.
Yeah. Guy got in the way of the stabbing there. I mean, so that's, I'll stop reading here, I think. That's the gist of it. What are your thoughts here in general, Cap?
It's, we don't condone rioting, but I don't blame the people for getting angry. I don't blame the people for pushing the envelope here. You can only take so much. And, the governments around the world thinks their people are stupid. Thinks the people that they rule over are stupid. And they just blatantly are doubling down on protecting immigrants instead of their own people. They're not representing the people who voted them into office. It's a terrible situation, and it's only gonna get worse because the way they double down and this attack on free speech is not going to result in peace. It's just not. And they know that too. Part of it, I truly believe, the poke the bear psyop or whatever you were talking about a while back, where they're going to go after people's freedom of speech. And it's another unpopular move. And then they do something to combat that. And then they go, look, the far right wants to spread hate speech. The far right wants to spread disinformation. The far right is racist. They hate immigrants, blah, blah. When it's none of that whatsoever, people just want to be able to voice their opinion, live a safe and happy life, and not watch their culture erode away.
Yeah. There's a lot of good points there. And, you seeing here. First of all, I want to make a point. I wrote down a quote here. A riot is the language of the unheard, as the great Martin Luther King Jr. said. Right. That's a quote progressives have used often lately, and I think it is applicable here as well. I think with this whole riot, it's another lesson learned in the wake of, let's say, January 6th or something like that. Now, put aside all the conspiracy angles of that whole thing.
Yeah.
But what was the response to January 6th? Right, like you're seeing massive crackdown on people's freedom of speech, throwing people in jail, the national strategy for countering domestic terrorism or whatever it is. Right, like if you resort to one of these stupid, violent acts, like mass violent acts, like the regime is going to drop the hammer on you and squash you.
Yep.
You're going to give them all the justification they need to do so, right? Or pass whatever laws we'll get into here with Ireland in a minute, what they're trying to pass. The right response is exactly what Conor McGregor is doing. There's always going to be like elites in society, right? No matter what. There's never going to be this utopia that these Marxists or whatever they think like everyone's going to be equal and we'll all have the exact same amount of money and the exact same amount of wealth and whatever. No, that's
that
not
exact amount of money is zero.
There's always going to be elites, right? And we could have like elites that naturally rise to the top of society and become the leaders, or we could have these phony artificial elites that like systems like we have in Ireland or in the United States where like Joe Biden is the president. I mean, like Joe Biden's like the most unimpressive person that's ever existed, but somehow he's the fucking leader of the world empire. The way to go about the correct change is for impressive elites like Conor McGregor to get involved in the process on the right side of things and try and make a difference the right way, not with violence. We'll see what he's got planned, right? But like, get involved, man. Run for office.
Wouldn't it be crazy though if his response is violence, just like UFC in like town
challenges the prime minister of Ireland to a fist fight in the streets.
Yeah, he
like
just
Rocky
starts knocking out senators and PMs and stuff. Yeah,
maybe fucking fight me, something like that. Yeah, I hope not. I hope he decides to step up to a leadership position. Again, he's got the story. He would probably win at this point.
Yeah, he's got the story. He's got the backing. I mean, if people are passionate about this, he'll have the following. And watch, mark my words, if that's what Conor, we'll follow this in the future if anything pops up. Because I mean, if he starts running for PM or president, whatever they have, they'll start demonizing him, just like they did Trump, an outsider who is trying to make a different change, going against the regime, who's loud, who's outspoken, who you can't, really confront on a face-to-face basis. And watch, they'll give him the same treatment. I mean, he's already under investigation, so he's got to be up. He's probably polling better than Joe Biden.
Yeah, probably. There's a lot of ironies here. Ireland ironies, I guess you could say too here. So like obviously like there's this organized effort to displace like native local cultures and populations throughout all of Europe, right? You're seeing like mass migration from
through America
Northern
too,
Africa,
everywhere.
the Middle East, Eastern Europe, into here too, but I'm talking about in Europe specifically and in Ireland specifically. Like it's happening in Italy where people are coming over.
Yeah, France.
Yeah, and France, and
well, isn't there that island in Italy that has 10,000 people? Like,
I'm not sure what's going on.
10,000 people. So they brought over like 11,000 immigrants.
Yeah. And it's hard to believe that that's not by design, right? Like, first of all, a lot of these places people are leaving because of regime change wars that like the empire fought. Like we could use Libya as an example. In the 2010s, we overthrew the government there, destabilized it. Now it's a shithole, and people don't want to die, so they want to leave. And they're going where? To the closest place, Italy and Europe, right? Which is nearby and way better society than the one they're running from. So, like, even if you don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole of George Soros or whoever's behind it, they're just like the very simple answer is just the policy of overthrowing governments and destabilizing places causes people to want to leave because people don't want to die. Now, that being said, Ireland is interesting because Ireland has... Like, let's look at this through the lens of some woke progressive. Ireland has never been an empire. It's never colonized anybody. If anything, they've been the oppressed their entire history, the Irish, right?
Yeah.
The English and Great Britain have oppressed them going back to the dawn of time on the Emerald Isle. They
With
never
fucking Uhtred of Bebbanburg.
Yes, right. You watch Last Kingdom. I mean, there's still this is what the NRA and all that stuff was about. There's some religious beefs there. I mean, dude, there's still a part of Ireland in Northern Ireland that Great Britain hangs on to, and it's part of Great Britain. It's not like part of the actual island is actually part of Great Britain, not part of Ireland, and that goes back to all that.
It's kind of like what we did with Alaska.
So, like, from the woke progressives' view, it's reverse colonization here. It's like a group of white people who have been oppressed by other white people are now having like their culture completely displaced by migrants from all around the world.
Piss poor policies.
Who are in a sense being forced on them by the EU, which is more of the same people who have been colonizing and taking advantage of the Irish forever. It's just like more of the same is the way I'm looking at it historically. Right now, like, I'm not saying the people who are migrants aren't also being taken advantage of, and they've obviously coming from a shit situation, right? But like, man, I mean, if you have to like keep all of that in mind from the perspective of an Irish person, and then you get like a match. It's like a tinderbox, right? And you get like a scenario like this where a person stabs some kids. Boy, is that like ready to go up in flames. That's like the spark that it needed, The context and whatnot doesn't even fucking matter. It doesn't even matter that the guy, he is an immigrant, and that I think he's been in Ireland for 20 years. He's still an immigrant.
Well, I think he became a citizen.
I don't know if
but
he
he
did.
originally
That's
immigrated.
I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't dug that deep into it. And that's kind of like a little bit vague now, like I think on purpose. Like they're not putting out all the...
Of course.
They were saying they haven't even confirmed now who it is anymore, even though we kind of already know.
Yeah.
But that doesn't even matter because like this is just a spark. Like people on the ground see all the migrants coming in. Like I think it's in the hundreds of thousands in the past couple of months in Ireland. Like that's a lot for a little tiny country like Ireland. So like this is bubbling up under the surface. People are feeling frustrated about it, and like doesn't matter the context of the one thing. It's still there. It's still a valid concern they have. That's what Conor McGregor's talking about. It's a valid concern that we have. It doesn't mean that they're bad people. Again, the Irish never fucking colonized or did anything wrong to anybody in the history of their entire culture. It's them. They've always been getting fucked over. So I don't condone violence, but I understand to some extent why they're feeling frustrated.
Yeah. Everything we're seeing across the board, nationally, internationally, globally, whatever you want, is truthfully just the accumulation of 40 years worth of piss poor policy.
Yeah.
This is really the, it's all boiling over. Yeah. It's coming to a head, and just so many of these, and the policies have only gotten worse. So the blowback is that much quicker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This isn't some, Clinton or Obama thing that everybody had their head in the sands and didn't realize what was going on. These policies are so shitty and so blatantly, non-representative of what the people want that, like you said, it's a tinderbox. It's just ready to blow.
We're coming to an inflection point, as they say. I feel like the world is primed for a bloodletting of some kind. So let's go on to the next part of this story, which is what they're doing. So,
it just gets crazier.
So, again, like we be careful, right, when you get violent like this, because when you give the government an opportunity, never let a good crisis go to waste, right? So this is always what's probably going to be the reaction in most of the world, especially when we're in totalitarian times like we are now. This is, for those who are listening, this is Ireland's Green Party Senator Pauline O'Reilly speaking.
Miss O'Reilly.
Miss O'Reilly. I mean, I love how everyone's name in Ireland is just like O'Reilly, O'Connor, this, that, O'Murphy, O'Douls, whatever. So, all right, let's hear what she has to say.
When you think about it, all law, all legislation is about the restriction of freedom. That's exactly what we're doing here, is we are restricting freedom, but we're doing it for the common good. You will see throughout our Constitution, yes, you have rights, but they are restricted for the common good. Everything needs to be balanced. And if your views on other people's identities go to make their lives unsafe, insecure, and cause them such deep discomfort that they cannot live in peace, then I believe that it is our job as legislators to restrict those freedoms for the common good.
And this is what they're doing. They're passing legislation or they're they're floating it out there, legislation aimed at throwing you in prison for doing what Conor McGregor did.
I know you have a whole libertarian spiel on the restriction of freedom is what laws are, and I 100% agree with you. And I caught that immediately once you responded to me sending you this video last night. But I want to make something clear. When she speaks about the common good, the only common good she speaks about are for the ruling class, for the common good of her, the elites, the ruling class, the government. This is not for the common good of the simple folk out there. This is only because it's it's a one-way street. If me and you were in Ireland, or you just you take Scagz O'Reilly and Chris O'Douls of the Two Doomed Irishmen podcast, and they had memes on their TikTok page of anti-immigration stuff, they would be arrested and sent to prison or whatever the charges are for spreading disinformation and hate speech, because now that's a law in Ireland. But I could promise you, if the roles are reversed and an immigrant has hate speech towards people of Ireland or Dublin or anything of that nature, that's not against the law. It's they are only worried, once again, zero representation for the people of Ireland here. They are only worried about the discomfort of immigrants. They don't care how uncomfortable you are. It's only for their common good.
Yeah, this is the same. What's her name here? O'Reilly, right? O'Reilly Auto Parts here. This is the same. This is the same kind of line of thinking like Neil deGrasse Tyson had with like the public health contract or whatever, right? Like, government is fake, folks. I'm sorry. Your rights, your God-given rights, are real. I was thinking this is like the philosophical point I kind of wanted to make today. There's this bent in people that they'll think that our rights, at least here in America, are given to us by government. No, it's actually quite the opposite. Like the founding fathers in the Constitution, it's the idea of negative rights, that these rights are, God granted or natural. They come as a product of being a human, and the government can't take them away from us. That's, if you actually read the Constitution, the Bill of Rights carefully, that's what it's saying. Saying you have these rights, we can't take them away from you. But people tend to think that they are given to you by the government. Now, again, I'm not 100% sure what's going on in Ireland in terms of their founding documents, but the point I'll kind of make, the point as an anarchist would make here, is that doesn't matter because that's fake, right? That's just words on a paper. If you were in the Soviet Union and you were in a gulag, you'd have all your freedoms taken away. But Captain, could you still say something that that they didn't want you to say? Would you still be able to go on a hunger strike or something like that? Yeah. Why? Why is that?
God-given right.
Right, because you're free.
It's
right?
my free choice.
There's nothing they can do. They could throw you in a cage. They could pass a law. They could do anything they want. They could convince you, right, to not do these things. But at the end of the day, at any moment, I could walk outside and scream. If I was in a prison cell, in this cabin, whatever, because you are free. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the establishment or the ruling.
Freedom ends at the first but. You're free to do whatever you want, but.
Right. Now there's the low-hanging fruit options right here. Is this is the crisis that they want. You're seeing this all throughout Western society right now, man. We've covered it in detail. There's an all-out push to limit your rights, or to clamp down on your rights based on the common good or the public health or the whatever the fuck. At every turn, it's accelerating, dude. You're right. It really is accelerating. At any turn, they're looking to do something to clamp down on your rights. Yeah.
Because this is coming to a head. We're reaching the pinnacle. They can't push these piss poor policies anymore without blowback. So this is the only way. Once fear is no longer their greatest weapon, I fear what's going to happen to government, people in government. I'm not threatening no on YouTube. Calm down. I ain't calling for no
Like
acts
if you
of
just look at it
violence.
historically,
Yeah.
the acts of reprisal are usually fast and severe. And it's usually bloody. Like these things don't always turn out well. Was the Bolshevik Revolution or the Communist Revolution in Russia, like they were kind of revolting against
Another summer of love.
I'm saying like they were revolting against tyrannical governments.
Yeah.
Was the outcome of that better or worse for them? Not necessarily. Like these things don't necessarily like violence and political violence and revolution for the sake of them is not actually a good thing by default.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's not. Like the American Revolution is like an odd example of like things working out pretty good in terms of like, okay, well, we have a revolution, it's violent, and then we set up a country with like pretty good principles of freedom and whatnot. You know what I mean? Like that's like an aberration. That's not like the norm. So yeah, like I do share that concern with you. Like this could get ugly. We were saying right before, right? Like there's a bloodletting seems that the world is like primed for, man. And we could avoid it if you just give people their fucking freedom. Right? And stop trying to be tyrannical monsters.
They can't.
You know,
it's
the purpose of libertarianism.
It's the name of the game. They wouldn't be in government if they weren't.
I know. Maybe, I don't know. Is it human nature or is it these people just suck? So they want to wield the state.
The anatomy of the state. There is always going to be a state. If the world ended and us and our families and our friends and our friends' family got together and we had our lovely compound that we always talk about with underground bunkers and 20-foot tall fences, 4 or 5 people would become the elite leading class in that group, and that would be the state for the compound. The state will happen no matter what.
But hopefully it's a bunch of Javier Malays or anarchists or something like that who respect everybody's freedom. One more point I wanted to make on this lady here, O'Reilly Auto Parts. She references like the common good. Like what's that? Who determines what the common good is? You know what I mean? Like I'm just saying, like
it's these
are these wordplay, this doublespeak that they use, the government, right? Like we have to protect the common good. We have to protect the public health or the social contract or this, that, whatever. That shit's made up. It doesn't exist. At the end of the day, government's just the people with all the guns, and because they got all the guys with all the guns, they just fucking determine what's truth or not. And that's exactly like they're just leaning into that. They're just dressing it up in fancy talk here. And the plight of the poor brown person who's come to our country. We need to now clamp down on the rights of everyone because of that. Meanwhile, it's the crisis is of their own creation. Like it's these politicians who are like on board with importing more migrants and displacing the culture and all this shit. Like they're creating this problem, as we always say, and then they're selling themselves as the answer to how to solve, the reaction to the problem. I think it's wise, everybody in Ireland, just be aware of that and what's going on. You got to play a little 4D chess and, perhaps follow, if he does the right thing, follow Conor McGregor's lead over there.
And also my final point is, they could get their First Amendment taken away because they don't have a Second Amendment. and I also want you to know that, guns are super illegal all throughout Europe and no one's really allowed to have them and this, that, and the next. And for all the gun grabbing Democrats in America, all the gun grabbing losers here in America, just because you got rid of the guns, you're wildly out of your mind if you don't think like all of a sudden like stabbings are gonna like not go through the roof. It's illegal in like London and England to have a knife now too. You can't even carry around a folding knife. So I mean, just after a knife would be like a hammer or so, you know what I mean? Like before it, like just no tools, live in the pod and eat the bug. Like you don't need to fix nothing.
That's a good point. That maybe a point people miss here. Like violence is part of the human condition. People are going to commit violence. Give them whatever tool they have to get. Just I don't agree with the monopoly on violence that the government has, where they have all the guns and your rights are then leveraged against that. I did a quick look up and it says Irish law allows firearm possession on a may issue basis, not a shall issue. But so may issue means that it's up to them. Yeah. It's not
state of New York.
Right. It's not, they don't have a Second Amendment. Like it's up to the government to decide if you get a firearm or not. Yeah. So again, this will be maybe if we could talk to Mosh Toure, I'd like to talk to him about philosophy behind the Second Amendment and the First Amendment and how they go interchangeably and all that stuff. I'd love to get his take on that stuff as like a big gun guy, definitely. We'll table that for no time. Anyway, let's move on to our next topic.
Yes, sir.
Mayor Eric
Now we'll
Adams,
travel all the way back
to
home.
New York City, to the place that we are from. He is in trouble. I got another article here that we can read and set the stage for Mayor Eric Adams here. Eric Adams sued, this is from New York Post, for sexually assaulting woman in 1993. Accuser wants $5 million.
Bing bong.
Yep. You thought the Ireland story was rich in irony? Wait till you hear this one, folks. Mayor Eric Adams has been accused of sexually assaulting a woman in 1993 in a lawsuit seeking at least $5 million just before the deadline for the Adult Survivors Act, the Post learned Thursday. The accuser, whom the Post is not identifying because of nature allegation, named Adams as a defendant along with the NYPD's Transit Bureau and Guardian Association in a lawsuit filed last Wednesday. Adams was an NYPD officer at the time, and the filing said the woman also worked for the city. Plaintiff was sexually assaulted by defendant Eric Adams in New York, 1993, while they both worked for the city of New York, claims the 3-page summons, which does not give more detail on the alleged assault. The filing alleges sexual assault, battery, and employment discrimination on the basis of the plaintiff's gender and sex, retaliation, hostile work environment, and an intentional infliction of emotional distress. Boy, so bad for the cycle here, whatever they want to say, whatever you call it.
Man, I got to say, if all the people who've hurt my feelings over the years, like, why aren't they rotting in prison? I want $5 million. Yeah,
I think you missed the deadline here to file on Thanksgiving or whatever it was, and seeks damages no less than $5 million along with attorney's fees. Attempts to reach the accuser were not immediately successful Thursday. An attorney, blah 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 blah. Let's see.
Hold on, before you click out of this, I want to scroll up to the top again once you're done.
Sure, let's do that now.
So, if I am not mistaken, this Adult Survivors Act was extended to try and get Trump.
Sure, yes,
as well.
It's irony, right? So yes.
Oh, was that what you were gonna?
Yeah,
that's what you were gonna bring up.
Yeah, right. So yeah.
I'm sorry, man. I didn't even know.
That's okay. That's okay. The act was essentially like a construct that they used to get Trump on that case. That from fucking Bergdorf Goodman's or whatever from
what Stormy Daniels or what? No, not Stormy Daniels,
the one where the civil suit, I believe it was, where he it was like in the store Bergdorf Goodman, I think, or whatever, that and you see the woman, like, she is just so ugly, like she's just a horse.
Yes,
it makes no sense. He was, it's not like he wasn't Donald Trump back then. He still was Donald Trump.
Wasn't banging tens and
and that he assaulted her or like tried to make a move on her in like the changing room of Bergdorf Goodman, and this is what they brought up to him in the debate, or like when they had the town hall on CNN where he did a great job. I remember that a couple months ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, like in a sense, that's what this is for. This act is like a construct to try and get Donald Trump, and now it's kind of having an effect on Mayor Eric Adams. I think we could get into an interesting conversation, perhaps, and get down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole as to why that might be. I'm sure me and you will probably agree on some things. Well, what is your take? What is your general take?
So prior to this sexual assault, he was being investigated for
I have a clip
misappropriation
here too.
of.
I have a clip here too. We could hear what he has to say.
You want to? Yeah, let's play this first.
Let's do that. Sorry. Yeah. So in his defense.
As I was stating, I want to respond to this lawsuit that was just brought to my attention. It absolutely did not happen.
Can we pause it for 1 second?
I don't recall ever meeting.
This man's a swamp monster. He's trying to help New York. I give him credit for that. But this man will tell you that crime is down, and directly behind him is just walls of graffiti, walls of filth and shit and graffiti. This is why I love and hate New York so much. Okay, continue. I'm so sorry.
That's fine.
Meeting this person, and I will never harm anyone in that magnitude. It did not happen, and it's going to go its course. It's going to take its process. but it did not happen, and that is not who I am, and that is not who I've ever been in my professional life, and it's just something that never took place.
Mr.
Okay,
Mayor, there
that's
are
all- that's
quite
all
a
we have
number
right
of
now, guys, so
lawsuits
we're-
Pretty sure
filed
Como said the
under
same
the
thing.
same name. A person by the same name has filed quite a number of lawsuits and has even written a book that appears to be on sale on Amazon about how to
Hang on,
file
we'll
a
pause real
lawsuit.
quick. Now that he moved, there's even graffiti on the sign. Family-friendly urgent care. And somebody just tagged it up right behind him, yeah.
And how to wear. Does that make you question the credibility separate from the fact that you're saying this never happened?
Well, as you know, I've been in public life for almost 40 years, and people know my
Which
character.
is a crime in its fucking self.
They see how I am, how I carry myself, and I could just emphatically state that one, this never took place, and I do not recall ever meeting the accuser, and it's just not who I am, and I would never do anything to harm someone. That is just my character, and this is right now, you just have to really stay focused during these period of times. Mom used to always tell me there are seasons when a lot seemed to be going on, and at that moment you just got to let go and you let God.
Interesting.
Now they'll get him for being Catholic too. He believes in God.
Yeah, that's it. Now he's definitely made himself an enemy of the regime. Yeah.
This is this is incredible. First and foremost, didn't Como get taken out of office for the exact same thing?
That seems to be the move
sexual
in New
abuse
York, right? Like,
allegations.
just accuse everyone of sexual abuse or sexual assault.
Yeah.
When you want them out.
I truly believe everyone in politics is guilty and corrupt. As much as I love Donald Trump, I mean, it's got to be impossible for him to be clean. He's definitely cleaner than others because they would have gotten him on something. 10-1, if Trump's dirty, it's the dirty shit that's going to bring everyone else down, as we always said with like the Epstein list and shit. But, you don't become mayor or governor or anything of New York without having blood on your hands. You don't think fucking what's that old fucking dude's name? Schumer has never sexually assaulted anyone before. Bullshit. Before this took place, just before a few weeks ago, Adams was being investigated for using his campaign funds.
Yeah, something about like Turkish money or something like that.
Yeah, laughable, because I am 99% sure every politician forever has taken a cut from their campaign funds.
That's one of the reasons why I like George Santos so much, because
he used it on OnlyFans.
Like the crazy shit that he did and like the crazy lies that he told on his way into office, and now like he's getting kicked out essentially, and then the other politicians were like, we should remove him because he lied. Well, wow, that's the first time that's ever happened in the history of American politics? You mean to tell me? And like his lies were just so over the top and outrageous, it was fucking hysterical. And it pointed out the hypocrisy of like he lied about his dog or some shit. There was some crazy story about that or whatever. So yeah, it's preposterous, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep. I mean, Joe Biden was caught lying. He always says he was the valedictorian of his class or whatever, and he graduated 22nd out of like 25 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's always just amazing. They're all corrupt. This isn't a left versus right thing. It's us versus them. And they've been playing this game for years. And are you gonna bring up immigration?
Yeah, that will be a point in a minute. But the point you're, I think, trying to make is that, like, let's just set the default that they've all done it. Every one of them, right? Republican, Democrat, local, national politician. The point you're trying to make, I think, is that like the selective application of the law is like for political means, usually. Like they've all done it. So like you have dirt on everyone, essentially. Or if everyone's done something wrong, if you do what the regime wants you to do, they don't bring it up. Never sees the light of day. If you don't, well,
that's-
now we have to be the most honest regime ever, and we're going to prosecute you and whatever. Now, I know we're being a little bit hyperbolic and taking a leap of faith here. This is a local civil case, and I don't have any evidence whatsoever that like the CIA or anything is behind this or some shit like that. We're kind of going down the rabbit hole in that regard. Like we don't have any actual evidence of that, right? But
yeah, well, we didn't have any evidence that COVID came from a lab, but we fucking knew
we
that.
We just have our instincts here, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. There's a couple things that Mayor Eric Adams has done lately that probably are rubbing people the wrong way, right? And I've made many clips of his speeches, of him saying things. I don't like Mayor Eric Adams. I hate to have to even defend him, right? But he, compared to Mayor Bill de Blasio, is like night and day.
Yeah.
Like night and day, right? Like he at least acknowledges reality, Eric Adams, right? And the migration problem in New York City is out of control. I've shared many clips. I've made them myself of him talking about how like we literally cannot afford this. The city's going to be destroyed. It's going to be broke. If you're down in the city, you can see there's migrants everywhere. They're like trying to build a Floyd Bennett Field now in Queens, like a huge enclosure for them. One of the things I've learned throughout this entire thing is I know. Let's put like the polarization aspect of it aside, and that he's a Democrat. His hands actually are tied. There's something in the New York State Constitution that guarantees that he cannot just get rid of migrants that come to the state, to the city. Like he actually can't do anything about it. He's like bound by law that he has to essentially like provide some sort of shelter or something like that for them. He can't just
do piss poor policies.
He can't just like put them on a bus and ship them out. Like that would be him then breaking New York State Constitution law or something like that. So he's essentially been pretty combative, right? He's been like now talking a lot like Trump and saying like, hey, we got to fix the border problem and trying to get Biden to give New York City some sort of aid for the whole thing. He sounded a lot like Trump throughout this whole thing. He went to the border and visited to get an eye for himself. Those things probably rocked the boat a little bit too much. And my guess is that this is just sending a message back to him. Hey, buddy, you better watch what you're saying. You better watch your tone there, because don't forget who's really fucking in charge. And if we want to ruin your life, well, there'll be another fucking 15, 20 cases or things we could drum up out of nowhere to go after you.
Well, hey, the intelligence community has 7 ways from Sunday to get you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't forget that was Schumer
in
New York who said that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he might already be out. I don't know. It's funny, because there's people that'll fight you tooth and nail and say the establishment's not real. But the second he went against the grain, his whole career came crashing down. It's been a rough month and a half.
I don't think it's come crashing down. Like my guess is that this is the warning shot.
We're on the ascent.
This is the warning shot. They're trying to, get his attention, and this is how these people operate. And again, this is just completely speculation. We don't have any evidence that the regime is behind us now. We're just putting two together here and spitballing. So that's my guess.
Certainly has that feeling, doesn't it?
I don't know, man. Like over the past couple of months, I must have made 4 or 5 clips of Mayor Adams talking differently, and every time I did, I'm like, I don't see how this is going to work out for him. I really don't. Like it's just, I knew at some point something's going to happen or some shit like this would come to try and challenge him, or try and challenge his brand or whatever it is he's trying to do there in the city. So we'll keep an eye on this. It's interesting. Any other points you want to make on this one?
No, just it's amazing, man. To tie the whole episode in, if down the rabbit hole we go, if the establishment is punishing him for going against immigration policy, that is a global pandemic. Because here we have the people of Ireland who are no longer represented by their government backing immigrants. And over here in America, right down the street in New York, we literally have a mayor who is being blackmailed out of office for going against immigration. What's the end result of all this open border immigration policies? that, the agenda, it brings to mind the agenda, 33 or whatever it is, or 23, where there is no more borders, one world government, one world religion, one world currency, no more culture, no more individual
Just
culture. You are a
displacement,
gray
yeah.
blob.
Displacement of your culture. Like, believe me, I know Captain, like me and him are not saying or against migration because we don't like people from other places or anything like that.
Right.
But like the reality is, like, if you take a bunch of people from somewhere else in the globe with different cultures and different thoughts and like different ideas on liberty and freedom and shit like that, and then you just like lift them all up like Legos or something and like put them down somewhere else and they displace the culture of the next place, well, then that other place that they've moved to might start to represent a little bit more of whatever it is that they come from, and displace the cultures. Like, I'm concerned about like people. I mean, maybe they won't, right? Maybe people from South America have dealt with communism and socialism. They're gonna come in and be the most based motherfuckers
50-50
of all time, right? That might be, so
Right.
it might like backfire in that regard, but it
Right.
might not as well. And you might get people who don't value freedom and liberty, and they start voting for things that don't represent us here. And then before you know it, like the culture of liberty, freedom, and all this shit. Like I'm not even talking about racial lines. These
Right.
things might disappear because you couldn't protect your property. You couldn't protect your border.
I would give it what you're saying a 50-50, because shocking, the two white guys that run this show, our grandparents were immigrants. They immigrated here from Italy. Did your mother and father or your grandparents?
Father, all my grandparents did, and my dad did. My mom was.
So your
born in
father
France.
was born in Italy.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So anyway, so they, back then when people immigrated here, part of their goal to immigrate here was to take on an American lifestyle and American culture. My grandparents did exactly that, to the point where my mother raised me American. I don't have all the Italian ways. Do I wish I had more? Yeah, of course. It's Italian culture, and I think Italian culture is great. And I love learning plenty about other cultures. But now you fast forward to 2023, where we are now, and the popular thing to say is American culture is trash. American culture is garbage. American culture is broken. American culture makes things like Donald Trump, and that's just inherently bad. So what are these people immigrating here going to do? They're going to hold on to their culture because it's valued that much more. You go to any place that these people are coming from, and I don't mean this in any racist term, but their culture has tradition and rich history that they follow, and anybody could tell you about it. Whereas over here, fuck American culture. You know what I mean?
It's a multifaceted
there's no incentive
problem.
to.
It's not only has our society started perpetuating that idea of like fuck all this, fuck this culture. We don't even have any culture. Like culture's kind of been lost recently, the last couple of years. Like I think that's changing, and you're seeing it kind of change. And I think we need to lean more into traditional cultures of like family and liberty, and like what are like American
culture,
like, I don't know, like you ask an American, like what's like an American
guns
culture?
and muscle cars, baby,
Right.
beer,
yes,
barbecue,
you know what I mean?
and
But like
bitches,
some people will be like, I don't know, man, those Americans, like they're not cultured. They don't have any culture. Yes, we do. Right? Like football and barbecue, right? We just want to barbecue and muscle cars and guns and all that shit. Like, that's our culture, liberty, freedom.
Want to show up to the barbecue
steak.
in my fucking 77 Trans Am.
Yeah, like, and a family, like kids, raising them right. Like that's what we need to lean into. And people will come here and like they could bring aspects of their culture, like food and things. That's great. That's awesome. I actually like the differences between humans. Like I've been to South Africa and learned all about their show. I'm like, this is fucking awesome. This is cool. It's different. It's not like a bad thing. There's like a automatic
nobody
association.
down there would tell you their culture sucks.
There's like an automatic association that like if things are different that they're bad. No, like they're not bad. It's just like you do your thing over here, and if you invite me, I'll go over there and I'll participate in your thing. I'm gonna do my thing over here. If I invite you, then you can come do your thing over here with me. Just like let's not try to like make this homogenous goo.
What have I always said though? Progressives cannot leave well enough alone.
Yeah.
It's not enough for you to go. I mean, me and you, we want to go live in New Hampshire on 100 acres and never be fucking seen again. That's not good enough for most progressives. No, we might be perpetuating hate on our 100 acres.
Right.
We might
They'll
be,
knocking
they
on the
need
door
to
of our
know what
container.
we're doing on our 100 acres because they might not agree with us. They can't just leave us alone.
Yep. All right. Let's wrap this up here in a couple minutes. I got a lot of tweets of the week, so I want to get to that.
Yes, you do.
I want to
saw.
make, so it's a couple weeks of, so I want to make one quick point. We're not going to have time to dive into it, but I just want to point out, because I don't want to miss this, just in case I'm going to be right in the next couple months here. But we're talking about debates. There is another debate coming up on this Thursday, and that is going to be Gavin Newsom against Ron DeSantis. And my opinion is that this is the watershed moment for Gavin Newsom. He's going to knock it out of the park. Ron DeSantis is fucking awkward. He's not a good debater. There's a lot of like negative stories around Ron DeSantis now, on top of like the, just from Trump stuff and all this shit. This is Gavin Newsom's chance to sell himself. He's got charisma. He's good looking. All the suburban white women are going to love him, right? And this is his opportunity to step in. And this is what I think is like the first step for him becoming
Joe Biden
replacing Biden in the next election. And if not, then he's the insurance policy in case something goes wrong or for a 2020, 28 or whatever. So I want to get to that. I just want to mark that.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. This is the presidential ticket the establishment wants to see. Ron DeSantis versus Gavin Newsom. I think Ron has been bought long ago. I think they let him go against the COVID regime to gain popularity and power in a swing state. And even though that swing state is now red, I think he's just the Republican puppet for the establishment. This is the establishment debate, and I think people should watch it for sure.
Yeah, it will be interesting, to say the least. All right, let's do tweets of the week. I got a lot, like I said. Let's get through them. Some of them are funny, some of them are serious. Let's go. This one is from a random person named Peter Dooley. He says, it's revealing that the Irish political establishment / media are wrongly quick to smear, dismiss many people with genuine concerns about immigration policy as far right, and at the same time stay silent about the support funding actual Nazis in NATO's proxy war in Ukraine. Again, we've made this point a bajillion times. That's a great fucking point. Ireland has been all behind Ukraine in the Irish government, at least in the war, right? So yeah, the double standard doesn't the Ireland doesn't get away with not having a double standard as well.
Yeah. I just found out that Peter Dooley was now just arrested and is thrown into a box,
into a gulag,
and sent to the bottom of the sea.
Oh man! All right,
I don't even remember what I have. All right, let's see. Oh, Rob Reiner. If you vote for anyone but Joe Biden, you are voting to destroy American democracy. Well, Rob, that is exactly what I am voting for. That is exactly what I am looking to have take place come next November.
I love the first
destruction of democracy.
I love the anarchists in the Mises Caucus. We already weren't voting for Biden. You didn't have to sell us on it. And then Peter Quinones' promise. Yeah. I mean, the point we've made a bajillion times on the show also, like these totalitarian leftists, like anytime they talk about democracy, they're just talking about power and how they want to win. So like any threat to their power is destroying democracy. They don't actually believe in, the old classical liberal sense of democracy. We're like, let the best idea win. And, we'll have a good old fashioned competition. And at the end, we'll shake hands. It's like, no, if they lose now, it's a threat to democracy.
Control. Yep.
Roll the police force on everybody. All right. Let's see. Okay, this is a funny one. So this is from someone called Pacetus. And he says, it's a Lord of the Rings tweet. And he says, when Theoden wakes up and everyone's like, but how do we get that dog back in him? Gandalf immediately gets that he needs to hold his sword and swish it about. He says, and I think that's why we need more men working in mental health care. So I don't know if you remember this scene from The Lord of the Rings, but remember King Theoden or Rohan? He's like,
he was
that
real
spell.
like old and sickly.
He had that spell on him, and then Gandalf breaks the spell, and Theoden comes out of it, and it's just a funny fucking point. Get that dog in him. Gandalf knew, he's a man. He needs to swing his sword around to get the mojo back. And Yeah, maybe that is what we need in the mental health
Toxic
facility.
masculinity makes the world go round, baby.
Yeah.
Every building you sit in, every house, every bus you ride in, the train, the subway tunnels, the bridges you cross, the phones you hold in your hand, the toilet you shit in, flushing down through the pipes, all toxic masculinity.
Yep. I think if you're like, a man who's depressed, you get his ass a sword and you put it in his hands, and that might help him out. I think that's the way forward. All right. So you got 2. I got like 4 more after this one. What do you got?
There we go. Kenny Ackers. Black votes for Trump. You're a bunch of weirdos. I don't understand how you can listen to the rhetoric that comes out of his mouth towards blacks and say to yourself, that's my guy.
Okay. Yeah.
So this tweet, it's low-hanging fruit, but it shocked me. This tweet's from November 25th, 2023. What rhetoric? The man's already been in and out of office. He's been in the limelight since 2015. Where's this racist rhetoric?
Yeah.
Back in 2015, 2016, 2017, cool. We can say he's a racist, because there was still time left on the board. We are now almost a decade past when Trump announced he was running for president. Where is this racist rhetoric?
Yeah, the the Trump is racist towards black people is the most detached from reality accusation of racist against Donald Trump. Donald Trump is like for reparations, essentially. He wanted to pass with Ice Cube that platinum plan, which is essentially like a gigantic handout to like the African American community. Like
instead, we got DEI. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like from a libertarian aspect, like I don't like the idea of the government giving money away to people. So but then from this point of view, it's just preposterous. Like, no, he's obviously not racist towards black people. He's been nothing but complimentary of and working with black people over the history of his fucking life. So it's ridiculous. It's just this is such an old it's just this is like 8 years late. To be making this point. Yeah.
There's no more time left on the clock for this one.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on here to my next one, which is from, this is funny. This is from someone called Mohammed. And now you can't see the original tweet because the person deleted it because this person got ratioed into outer space on the tweet. But somebody, I forget their name, they were in the airport and they posted a photo of 2 flight attendants and they were wearing scarves. And the scarves had like little white airplanes on it, and the person was basically accusing them of anti-Semitism, saying these, like United Airlines is making their flight attendants wear Palestinian keffiyehs, like their scarves, like their traditional Palestinian.
I
scarves.
saw the picture too. Yeah.
So you can't see it now because he's deleted it, but I had a really good tweet on this. I got a couple thousand likes, and then this guy killed me. He goes, from the cockpit to the cabin, seatbelts will fasten, which is a play on from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Oh man, that fucking made me laugh. I have to say that was funny. I mean, this guy, he had to delete it. He got so many funny tweets that were like making fun of him and just shitting on him. Yeah.
Well, you know what? If he was in Ireland, he'd be able to get everybody arrested.
That's a good point. Yeah. All right. My next one here is from PETA. And PETA says,
boy.
We're lucky turkeys would never do this to us. You don't have to do it to them either. And it's a photo of turkeys sitting around Thanksgiving table eating a human on a plate.
I wish. Go ahead.
So the community notes, turkeys are not vegetarians. Turkeys eat mice, lizards, frogs, and just about anything they can fit in their mouth. If turkeys were larger or had the technological means to farm and eat humans, their current diet reveals that they likely would. That's a fucking hysterical community note. Turkeys are similar to chickens. I have chickens. They're ground birds like this.
Raptors
are opportunistic eaters. They'll eat anything. Yeah. So, like, if Captain shot me in the head and threw my dead body in my chicken coop, these motherfuckers would eat me in a couple of days. Yeah. And so I just saw a couple turkeys running past here 2 weeks ago. They'd eat me too. Like, this is not even correct. This is like La La Land nonsense where these people don't know the first thing about nature.
I just want to shout out PETA for being a satanic cult and spirit eating and sacrificing humans, as they have so clearly displayed in this photo. I wish Garrett was here because he'd be jumping all over it with me right now.
All right, my fucking mouse died here, so this is gonna be. Oh wait, did it come back? Okay, it did.
Some bitch.
Yeah, I know, it's getting cold out here, so all my technology's freezing in between. All right, I got 2 more tweets. Bear with us here, folks. They're good ones. This one's from Majid Nawaz, and he says Netanyahu's war on Gaza has broken the brains of all those you thought spoke sense on COVID and Ukraine. Israel under Netanyahu fiercely supported harsh COVID mandates and the war in Ukraine. But suddenly these people all trust all of his propaganda. Make note, it's a sight to behold. It is, right? You remember during COVID how strict Israel was in terms of vaccination?
98% of Israelis got vaccinated.
Yep. But now for some reason we just gobble up everything that Netanyahu has to say. I got an interesting story perhaps next time we get on about Netanyahu. I kind of want to cover. Sent you earlier today, so teaser for next time.
It's simple. Just, all the people who spoke sense on COVID and Ukraine were not Ukrainian and, corporately owned. All the people who now just blindly support Israel, guess who owns them? Israel.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that simple, people. It's that simple.
We'll circle back to this in future episodes. We're not done with the Israel stuff yet. All right, my last tweet of the week, and this one was outrageous yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is fucking amazing.
Outrageous. This is from Deadspin, and they say the NFL needs to speak out against the Kansas City Chiefs fan in blackface and native headdress. Now, if you're looking at this photo, you'd see that this is a small child. And from the side, it's a photo from the side of his face.
His profile,
it's a side profile, and his, if you're listening, and his face is black. But all you have to do is go down and see from the front. He's a Kansas City Chiefs fan. Half of his face is black, the other half is red. The Kansas City Chiefs colors. This guy who wrote this article. It really is just the most despicable thing you can do.
He knew what he was doing.
You're obviously lying and trying to frame a child and possibly ruin a child's life. That's the type of shit that these, do you want to talk about online hate and shit like that?
Yeah.
Imagine the woke, NPC mob going after this little tiny kid, thinking he's a racist when he just is trying to enjoy a football game and be all into it with really cool, fanfare around his team. But this hack at Deadspin, wants to ruin this kid's life. And then he tweeted after that it's not right. He basically doubled down after. It's bizarre. It's really another example of just how ideologically captured some of these corporate press news things are.
Think for a second. Think how many stories never were corrected because of just one image like this. Think how many stories they got away with.
Mm-hmm. This is why, I'm not against the idea of community notes. It's not a fact check. It's more context added by people. Mm-hmm. So, I look at community notes as it's just a comment underneath, right? A bunch of people comment underneath, and then if enough people make a point calling something out, then that gets added as the context underneath it. This new version of Twitter under Musk hasn't been outright removing shit. Or, putting on this is not true, says Twitter. You know what I mean? It's letting people add more context themselves. It's actually more speech instead of less speech. So I'm okay with it. And this is disgusting, dude. Really, really is.
We're winning. We're winning because if we weren't winning, they wouldn't have to be framing children.
Yeah, exactly. Just having a good time at the fucking Kansas City Chiefs game.
Yeah.
All right, man. Wrap it up. Let's get out of here.
All right, Doom Nation, the next time you see us, we will be live at the Libertarian presidential debate. So make sure December 2nd, 2 p.m., correct?
Yep. On our YouTube
You tune
channel.
in to the Two Doom Men YouTube page, and we will be presenting and hosting and working with our buddy Larry Sharp on the Libertarian presidential debate. So do not miss that. We will be back soon. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. Doom Nation, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And adios.